I picked up this beautiful waterfall dresser on Marketplace for only $25. So for today's flip, we are going to take this little disaster and make it over into something beautiful. Really in good condition, but has a lot of veneer issues, and when I removed the hardware, I found many holes from previous hardware. She has beautiful bones and she is solid wood with a overlay of veneer. So let's learn how to take this dresser to a whole nother look with a little bit of paint. As always, I start by cleaning my projects very well and rinsing with water. The product that I use to clean is called White Lightning. It's also a deglosser and a degreaser and will get rid of any weird little marks or sticky things that are stuck on your dresser. Next up is my Big Mama's Butter. I use this all the time for the interior of the drawers, as well as the wood-on-wood drawer glides. And I wish that YouTube had smell-o-vision, because if you could smell how delicious this new scent smells, you would absolutely flip out. It's called Big Mama's Butter, and this is the new Ginger Zen, and it is so fresh and delicious. It's going to make the interior of this dresser smell wonderful. And speaking of smells, the next step is super essential in your prep. This is Bonding Boss. This is a new product by Dixie Belle. This combines Slick Stick as well as regular Boss to create a whole new product. Bonding Boss is going to block any odors, any smells, any stains, prevent bleed through, as well as prime your piece for a gripping primer. So to apply this, I like to use a foam roller. It gives me the smoothest finish. And for today's color, I'm going to be using Bonding Boss in gray. So why would I choose Bonding Boss for a project like this? Well, this is really old wood and it had some pretty heavy duty stains built into it. So putting this on is going to protect my surface and give me a nice clean area to work and paint on without having to worry about what's going on underneath on that wood. I'm going to roll on 2 even coats, waiting approximately 2 to 4 hours in between coats of Bonding Boss, and then you need to wait 24 hours before you begin to paint. Waiting the 24 hours is an essential step in the process because this now contains Slick Stick, which needs that time to really cure up and get ready for paint. This is also going to give you a nice, smooth, clean surface, ready for paint, and kind of freshens up the whole entire piece. It's kind of nice to block out the wood color to get an idea of what you want to do to your project. And P.S. you're totally going to use less amounts of paint when you prime with Bonding Boss first. Obviously, you can see these holes. So when I took off that horrible batwing hardware, which I threw right in the garbage, I don't like it at all. I have no need to recycle batwing hardware. But when I took it off, I found a plethora of holes on this piece. So let's fill them in and use my Dixie Belle's mud. We're going to fill them in entirely and then sand back to flat. To be honest, you can do this before you use your Boss or after. I just did it now because I want to let the dresser sit for 24 hours before my paint. Personally, when I use Dixie Belle's mud to fill in holes, I overfill because when I overfill and then I sand back, you can never see exactly where the holes were and it's completely flat. I also use Dixie Belle's mud to fill in those veneer issues on the bottom of the piece where I peeled off the flaking veneer. Waiting for this to dry and we can begin with new holes. Now what do I need when I am doing some new holes? It's this tool. My dad actually gifted this to me. This is a precision alignment tool and I grabbed this hardware off of Amazon. So let's get started and talk about how I drill new holes. Since I'm the kind of girl that has a lot of trouble with measuring, I'm not going to lie, this little tool is super helpful. What it's going to do is let me align the holes exactly perfect on every single drawer so that when I drill a hole, I'm not going to make a boo-boo or a mistake and have to do it again and again and again. So this little precision alignment tool saves me some stress big time. So once you have marked all of your holes and made sure that they are all even Steven, you can come in with your drill and make a new hole for your new hardware. And FYI, I grabbed this hardware off of Amazon for like under 15 bucks. It's crazy good, really good value. I'm going to link it below. Since the plan for this piece is going to be a big, bold, beautiful transfer, I chose one of the colors from the transfer called Mud Puddle. I applied 1 even coat over the entire dresser, and this will be my paint base for an ombre blend. I then came in with multiple colors of Dixie Belle paint. I used a little bit of silk paint and a little bit of regular chalk mineral paint. I'll list the colors below to kind of give me a autumn harvest blend. Using my best dang brush, I could ombre blend those colors together to really kind of give this piece a little bit more depth. Again, most of the front will be covered by transfer, but I do want to see little pops of color. So what is the plan for the front? It is this big, bold, brand new, beautiful transfer from Dixie Belle. This is called Autumn Harvest. This is a large 4-piece transfer that can be paired together to make one huge image, or you can use the sheets individually on smaller projects. This transfer arrives flat packaging, which is great for storage. Inside every transfer package, you're going to receive an instruction sheet as well as a small wooden tool for burnishing your image down onto your project. First things first, I like to grab my blue painter's tape and lay out my plan. This is going to allow me to see the full vision of how this transfer will fit on the piece. Second step for me is to cut the edges really close so that when I line up the transfer and put them together, I don't have any overlap. So first plan out your transfer, then cut along the edges where the transfers will join, and then place it down onto your project. Using the enclosed burnishing tool, you're going to push down the image onto your piece of furniture. Remember, do not wax before you apply your transfers. Transfers and wax do not play well together, and it will not stick onto your piece. So do this on top of clean, dry paint. I then moved along in sections, starting at the top and lining my transfer up on the edges, and then cutting the edges with a sharp knife around the drawers. Transfers are really easy to apply, and I don't want you to be afraid about joining together larger images like this. If you felt the need that your transfer was hard to apply vertically in the manner that I'm doing this, you can always lay your project down on its back, and it might give you a little bit more freedom to line up your transfer and not worry about it slipping or catching where you don't want it to. You'll find that when you line up your images and you've cut away the seam very close to the transfer edge, it's going to be super fun to line it up and get it down. You're not going to see any transfer marks or lines. Once you get your image down and you burnish it a little bit with a soft cloth, those little lines will just disappear. At this point in the project, I felt like it still looked a little bit naked. I needed to add one more thing. I have these little half moon wood rounds that I purchased off Amazon, and I think what I'm going to do is spray paint them gold and adhere them to the piece. Since the new hardware that I'll be adding to this project is like a burnished gold, painting these little rounds gold will pull the front of the entire dresser together. So I just spray painted them gold, waited for them to dry, grabbed my wood glue, and then lined them all up along the edge of this waterfall dresser. Since this is wood on wood, using wood glue is completely adequate. They stuck no problem because there was a little lip of a trim edge there, and I just lined them up and went straight across the front. At this point, I looked at the dresser one more time and thought that maybe I should add some waxes to this project. So I came in with a brown or black wax and added that around the edges after I sealed my piece with my satin clear coat. I seal my transfers down with satin clear coat and a blue sponge to get a nice smooth, seamless finish. Using satin gives it a nice shine, and using that sponge really helps you make sure that you get it all over your project. You can use the waxes before or after you decide to apply your clear coat. I also decided to use the edges of the drawers as kind of like a pop of gold, and I added my gold gilding wax to the edges for a finishing touch, as well as that brand new hardware that I got off of Amazon. Again, I'm totally going to link it because it was a super fab deal. I absolutely love all of the fall vibes that this little dresser is giving me. The warm, rich tones from that transfer combined with the beautiful burnished gold is the perfect touch. Adding those little wood half rounds to the top edge really took it to the next level. I think that it just finished it off and added a really great detail. This beautiful waterfall dresser has a whole new vibe. It looks super fun, super modern, and I actually donated this piece to a little girl here in my local area for her brand new bedroom.